We're really excited today to have a number of different sessions. First, we'll have this keynote session here, then we'll have a number of breakout sessions across 5 different industries and 3 exciting product sessions as well. Don't worry if you can't attend all of them. We will send out the recording afterwards as well. And then finally, we will reconvene on a really exciting session about what's next for AI and automation. You definitely won't want to miss this last session. We'll be making some exciting announcements, and also we'll be highlighting some new capabilities with product demonstrations. I can guarantee you will see some things here that you haven't yet seen from UiPath. My name is Luke Palomara, and I'll be your host for this session today. I lead the AI products group at UiPath. I'm very excited and honored to have a couple of very special guests that will join me today in the keynote session. A little bit later, we'll have David Barber join us. David is a professor and director of UCL's Center of AI and also a fellow at the Alan Turing Institute. He'll discuss advances in generative AI and how it can be implemented in enterprise settings. But first, we'll have Boris Evelson from Forrester talk about the current and future state of AI, including emerging tech and other trends. Boris, I'm so excited to have you with us today. Welcome to the session, and over to you.
Excellent, Luke. Thank you so much, and thank you, UiPath, for giving me and the Forrester a chance to present. Really looking forward to the session, and Professor Barber, David, really excited about what you have to share with us. But we at Forrester predicted last year. We've been watching AI, obviously, for as long as most of you on the conference with us today. But it was last year when AI, we believe, reached this critical mass, and we predicted that it was going to become an indispensable, trusted enterprise coworker. We started talking about AI-led digital workers. We started talking about AI in the loop applications, and indeed today we have confirmed those predictions. I mean, our clients have confirmed these predictions. Our readers in a broad market, 74% of the respondents to our annual survey. Now, these are global data and analytics leaders. These are global digital leaders. These are global IT and automation leaders. So almost 3/4 of them predict that, not predict, actually report that AI is providing positive impact on their organization. The benefits of AI are almost innumerable, but today we will concentrate on 2 top benefits. As you can see, automation of internal and external processes are the 2 top benefits out of the top 10 that our clients, our readers have reported to us. There are, while there are multiple use cases for AI, but once again, improving business automation, improving business workflows, workflow orchestration, and intelligent automation, as we call them, is one of the main use cases, number 2 out of top 10. And last but not least, in terms of the numbers that our readers report to us, there are multiple techniques that are being used for AI. AI, it's not a single monolithic thing, right? That sometimes media and reporters present to us in newscasts. It's based on multiple different techniques. And today specifically, we will do somewhat of a deeper dive into 2 techniques for that AI is based on. It's knowledge-based, or rules, or ontology-based AI. Sometimes some vendors call this capability symbolic reasoning or symbolic AI, and machine learning based AI, all culminating, again, there are multiple, a myriad of use cases, but today we're going to do a deeper dive into the use cases of AI for NLP, for natural language processing. Now, there are multiple definitions of what the natural language processing is. You see on the screen a lot of fancy words, linguistics and computer science, and the way computers and humans interact, but at the end of the day, it's text to data. you've got a lot of unstructured text, and if you've got a lot of unstructured text in semi-structured documents, you can't really act or automate processes based on this. You first need to extract structured data from documents, and that to me is one of the main components of NLP. And what I just talked about really covers mostly covers the first part of an NLP market segmentation that we at Forrester see. That's the analytics part, right? Text to data. Sometimes synonymously use the term that I'm sure some of you are familiar with as text mining, right? So text mining or text analytics, getting structured data from unstructured text. That's the first part. The second part is conversation, intelligent chatbots, digital assistants, et cetera, and a very exciting latest development that I know Professor Barber is going to cover in great detail is natural language generation. That's the term we've been using for a few years, but the latest and very interesting, exciting topic of generative AI. NLP is here and now. It is not something that you need to be just watching or experimenting or prototyping. Earlier this year, Forrester proposed 10 top emerging technologies that everyone should be working with. And as you can see, NLP is smack in the middle, in the center of technologies, emerging technologies that you should be implementing. So not just watching, not just experimenting, but implementing today. If you don't do that today, you're going to be falling behind competition. Now, another interesting market segmentation, as you can see, NLP, just like AI, has many, many different components, and that's why sometimes when you get 3 people in the room and they start talking about NLP, they may be talking about 5 or 10 different things. So it is very important to understand the market segmentation, all of the different capabilities. So specifically within text mining and text analytics part of NLP, we see a very distinct market for people-oriented text analytics. This is unstructured text that people generate. All of you generate that when you write emails, when you post something on social media, and there is kind of a cousin to that market that we call document-oriented text analytics. It's still something that people generate, but now we're talking about not completely free-form text, but semi-structured documents that have sections, that have forms and numbers and tables, et cetera, et cetera. Very, very different capabilities in terms of different requirements for volumes and complexity of documents and latency, and what we're going to talk about in a couple of seconds, natural language understanding more complex concepts than just topics or numbers. Some of the typical use cases for each of the market subsegments, I'm sure you're familiar with all of these. Customer experience and contact center conversation intelligence are the 2 most popular use cases for analyzing completely unstructured text. Right, when you talk to a call center agent and that conversation is transcribed to text, that's completely unstructured. Right, and then when we talk about semi-structured documents, document-oriented text analytics, the most prevalent use case here is IDEP, or intelligent document extraction and processing. All of the other use cases, such as data protection, information governance, some domain-specific applications, like in legal industry, it's e-discovery, or in a real estate or any other industry, contract analytics. But they're all based on this one main use case of intelligent document extraction and processing. And that's exactly what we are. Now I kind of hopefully narrowed everyone down to a very specific topic, very specific capability that we research at Forrester, that UiPath actually supports. That's the main use case that we are talking about today. Again, just a quick sidestep. I already teed up the concept that AI is not a monolithic set of technologies. It is a variety of technologies, and at the very least, we suggest that everyone thinks about AI in two parts. It could be knowledge-based AI, right? Even before the advancements in machine learning and compute power that became available on us to run machine learning, complex machine learning algorithms, we've been coding. I used to do that 30 years ago. We were coding AI type applications, right? So machine learning doesn't have the monopoly on AI, but indeed ML-based AI applications where you don't code the rules, but rather you just give the machine the inputs, the required inputs and desired outputs, and then machine figures out on its own what's the best algorithm to transform those inputs into desired outputs, right? So that's how we see another segmentation of the market. So what's very, very important, that's really the crux of my presentation, all of you really, really, really need to understand what happens under the covers of natural language processing, and specifically intelligent document extraction and processing, because what happens when things break, what happens when that wonderful black box that a vendor is selling you stops working. So you really need to look under the hood, and what happens under the hood are a lot of very interesting and quite complex things. So you need to have the platform connect to all of the data sources that exist in your organization. Not only do you need to connect to those data sources, but you need to be able to extract and integrate and reconcile and normalize data from these multiple data sources. Text doesn't always come in a form of text. I already teed up what we call speech analytics, right? Or transcribing a speech, recorded conversation at contact center to text. A lot of documents have images on them. They may have logos, they may have barcodes, they may have cursive writing. So transforming images to text is a required capability. And that's when data ingestion and integration from multiple channels, omni-channel data integration is what we call it, starts happening. And that's the time when you would need to enrich the data that you're integrating with your domain-specific lexicon, right? Every business, every industry vertical has very specific, a lingo and a lexicon, and you've got product hierarchies, taxonomies of products, and your business areas, legal structures, et cetera, what we call ontology. So you need to enrich the data with all that, and only then at this point we get to natural language processing, because this is where we extract some simple concepts from text, such as numbers and entities and topics. Then we get to more complex, what we call a process that we call natural language understanding, more complex concepts such as sentiment, emotion, intent, effort, risk levels, etc., etc. And as I just mentioned about a minute ago, all of these techniques can be either knowledge-based or machine learning-based. And at that point, we got to the part that I was talking about earlier. Now we have structured data, right? Now we have topics and entities and sentiment and numbers, and you can start doing all sorts of exciting things with that. So first of all, you can start analyzing the data, and most importantly, you can start automating your processes, right? And this is the crux of what UiPath does and what they're going to present. But very important to remember that this is not the end of the story, and that today there is really no such thing as lights out operation. There's always a human in the middle. There's always someone who needs to be verifying the accuracy of the system and retraining machine learning models and enhancing a knowledge-based AI model. So there's always human in the middle, human in the loop. You need to plan for that in terms of your budgeting and your strategy. So what is it that I'm trying to impress on all of you? So number one, do not treat NLP and intelligent document extraction processing as a black box. You need to look under the hood to understand what's happening. Understand the different AI techniques that are being used for each application, because if it is a knowledge-based AI technique, well, who is going to be maintaining those rules? Is that you or the vendor? You got to plan for that. If it's machine learning-based techniques, well, who is going to be running the entire ML ops cycle? Who is going to be verifying the accuracy drift, potential accuracy drift of the model, and who's going to be doing retraining of the model, right? So today, and I'm going to jump, my apologies, I'm going to jump to number 4. Today, we still think that hybrid AI, a platform that's based on a combination of both machine learning and knowledge-based AI, is the best approach for most of the use cases. Number 3, do not forget to plan and budget for human in the loop, right? This is not a full yet not a fully automated capability. And go back to that slide where I showed you all of the components, and therefore my number 5 and my last recommendation: please buy these solutions. Do not build them. So now I'm going to transition to the next part. Professor Barber, I know, is going to have some exciting information to share with us. We at Forrester absolutely do believe that generative AI promises, boundless potential, but you must be careful, and I'm sure Professor Barber will talk about this. There are still lots and lots of challenges and issues. We do not think that generative AI is ready to completely replace anything. So we recommend to our clients that they take baby steps and they use generative AI to enhance their current applications rather than completely ripping and replacing something. But I know Professor Barber can run circles around me on this, so I'm going to turn this over to him.
Great, thanks, Boris. Wonderful to be here. Hi, everybody. So I'm indeed David Barber, and not just at the AI Center at UCL, but I'm also a distinguished engineer here at UiPath. So today I wanted to tell you a little bit about generative AI. How the heck does it work? It's a very exciting technology, but it's also maybe a little bit mysterious. And so I want to sort of lift the lid a little bit on how it works, and also where I think we're going in the future, or also particularly at UiPath with this stuff. All right, so what is generative AI? Well, essentially, these are models. They're computer models that can generate new objects. So they might be able to, for example, generate new text or images or sound or video, all kinds of different modalities, and maybe even a combination of those things as well. So this is it's a very old area, but the capabilities have really increased dramatically within the last few years. So you might think that actually, if I ask some machine to generate something, well, it could just look it up. You could go on the internet and you can look up what I'm searching for or asking to be generated. And to give you a sense that that's not what's going on here, we've come up with this phrase: a chrome-plated duck with a golden beak arguing with an angry turtle in a forest. Now, probably never in the history of humanity has somebody thought of this exact sentence, right? This is just totally, you can't find this out there on the internet. And if you put this into a machine and ask you to generate an image of this sentence, this is what it comes up with. This one is from Google, but there's a whole bunch of related techniques out there, and it's pretty good. It's got this, even the reflections pretty accurately. This is not just simply looking stuff up, on the internet or in some database. So you can take this even further. You could say, well, let's use this to generate, for example, paintings. So you could say, well, generate an oil painting of some particular scene, make a description of it. And here is one. This was actually entered into a fine art competition, and guess what? It won the first prize. Of course, the entrant didn't say that actually it was a computer-generated thing until he'd won the first prize, but it just shows you how far these kind of systems have come. They're really very powerful. Okay, so what else can you do with this stuff? So in a more prosaic area, you might say, well, how can I use, say, text generating systems to do things that are useful? So for example, here's one from OpenAI, ChatGPT. Can you write a function that takes a string input and capitalizes the first letter of each word? So that's the input, and the machine then responds with, yes, here's a Python function. It generates the Python code, even explains to you, why it's generated code this way, and you can then run it, and hopefully, that works very well. So these are really amazing things. They're really impressive. You can use these kind of capabilities in all different ways. For example, create job interview questions. You can respond to a customer email, all kinds of things. You can understand what people are writing in terms of the computer code. But in some sense, this is just the start, right? These don't necessarily bring you products that you can use in a sort of end-to-end fashion within an enterprise. So really the question is how to take advantage of these kinds of capabilities. So before we do that, you might also be thinking, well, how on earth does this all work? So remarkably, at least for text generation, these models are trained simply to predict the next likely word. So if I gave you, for example, two training sentences like the cat sat on the mat, the cat sat on the table, and then I asked you, okay, given the context, the phrase the cat sat on the, what is likely to be the next word? And you can look up in your data set and say, well, aardvark, no, zebra, no, but shelf, chair, table, and mat, these are getting more likely. So actually, what the machine does is it tries to compress, given a context, in this case of the previous 5 words, what's the probability of generating the next word? And once it's done that, it can actually use that to take an input like the cat sat on something, and then generate stochastically one of the likely next words. So it might then generate the sentence, the cat sat on the mat. Now, the amazing thing about this is that if you have a long enough context of the history of tokens or words, actually these models start to get incredible capabilities. It turns out to be useful, in order to be able to predict the next word, is useful to understand the structure of language itself, whether that's human language or computer language. So in this sense, you could then take a phrase like the cat sat on the something, and it will predict the output would be, for example, mat. But then you can keep going. You say the context sat on the mat. In this case, this is just a few tokens or words, and it predicts the next word, which is and you keep recursing this process, and it keeps generating and generating longer and longer sentences. And in a similar way, you could do this with computer code or all kinds of things. Now, in reality, the length of these things is quite long. They're several thousand words long. And these are very hard to train. Just to give you a sense, this is not easy. These models take months, if not almost a year, to actually train. This is an open source project going online. Last year, I had a Twitter page. This is a very, very, very complicated project, and it's not a sort of a light-hearted task to engage with this. So that's fine. That's all fun, but in the enterprise, I think it's much more interesting to take these individual capabilities and put them all together to orchestrate actually how you might call these individual functionalities. And I think that's really where companies like UiPath are going to be major leaders. So you might have, for example, things like a database or a CRM or a web search capability, and how you can call these will actually be orchestrated by the language model itself. So to give you an example of this, here's an input, which is a customer query from somebody who's complaining about some parts have not been delivered. Then actually what happens in this case, the AI can read this model, it can extract the data, it can check that this customer is a valid customer, it turns out to be a valid customer, it can check the order number, the database, the status of the delivery, and then it can actually prompt these language models, things like ChatGPT, to generate a customer response like the thing here on the left. And actually, this is a really great example of a time-saving, labor-saving process. You can even then alert the account owner that it's done this, ask for approval from a human before actually sending the email, and maybe you can update some database to say that it's actually responded to this query. So this is really an amazing way to save time and effort from people, to get them freed up to do more interesting things. And we can actually also make sure at UiPath that we do this in a way which is actually really going to be safe and secure for our clients. It's all fun, right? But how do you do this in a way which is actually scalable for an enterprise? Well, you need to train these models on probably your own data in your enterprise. How to do that rapidly, quickly, and safely is something that UiPath would help you with. There have got to be guardrails. You've got to make sure that these systems don't make fantasy generations. They don't say bad things back to clients or call the wrong kinds of functionalities. And similarly, you need to have your humans there in the loop to make sure that these models are actually doing the right kinds of things, and to learn from them when the human says, well, actually, that's not correct. How do they update and improve themselves very quickly? So in summary, basically AI, it's really exploding. The number of things which are coming out each week is just mind-blowing. this is going to have a major change in the workplace, you know, and I think we here at UiPath, we are in the driving seat to take advantage of these changes. But we do need to make sure that these systems are not going to go off the rails, they don't do crazy things, but enterprises need to make sure that these models are compliant, they're consistent, we understand as well as we can do when they're likely to work. And just to let you know, of course, these are super exciting times for us also at UiPath. We are very busy working on bringing these latest technologies to the real workplace. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm going to pass you back to Luke.
Thank you so much, David. That was an awesome dive into how generative AI works, and I think you made some excellent points to think about as the folks on the call here think about as they deploy these AI technologies in the enterprise. Particularly, both you and Boris touched on the importance of keeping humans in the loop with AI to increase adoption and accuracy. And I think that's a really point that really resonates well with how we think about the UiPath business automation platform here. And now, so you're all probably already familiar with the UiPath business automation platform and its comprehensive suite of enterprise automation capabilities. And while we call out AI and NLP in this graphic, what it doesn't show is the level of depth that AI is really already woven throughout our platform. So let's take a minute and to just see a few of the ways that AI is deeply integrated in powering some of UiPath's most powerful products. So naturally, we should start with one of the key products in the discovery portion of our platform, task mining, where we utilize our proprietary computer vision and OCR models to understand all the screens and interfaces that employees interact with to track common processes. Task mining applies task extraction models to help determine which tasks are best to automate. With communications mining, you not only discover and understand your business communications in detail, including intent and sentiment, through the use of our large language model, any user, technical or not, can utilize active learning built into the product to train, update, and deploy new model versions. And most of you are probably aware that document understanding is a game changer in the document processing space, and it utilizes a variety of custom models we've developed for everything from invoices to passports to insurance and banking forms. And in combination with AI Center, you can fully customize models or bring your own in to ensure that there's no document process that you can't automate. And then lastly, we have Clipboard AI. This is the newest on the list. It's currently in preview, but it's also one that is most likely to be used by everyone in the audience today daily. It brings together everything from UiPath's computer vision capabilities to GPT and other ML models to enhance our everyday productivity, from moving data between documents and applications to filling out forms to extracting key information from images. And we're going to be sharing more and demoing the latest build during the final session today. So ladies and gentlemen, you won't want to miss this one. And while we're sure that we've built AI into all the right places for our products, we also know that you want to build automations that use partner and third-party AI functionality. The UiPath platform is open, and on the right, you can see a wide range of powerful connectors and activities that can all be easily added into your workflows, allowing you to operationalize AI like no other platform really can. And we can also provide options so that you can bring your own models and deploy them in the UiPath platform, as well as call virtually any third-party model, no matter where it resides, using custom studio activities, as well as the ability to build your own connector with our connector builder. And so you've probably all, at this point, keyed in onto those first two on the list to the right, the connectors for OpenAI and Azure OpenAI. So generative AI has been on top of mind for us too, and we are super excited to have these available now in preview. And in the final session today, again, you're going to get to see a demo of these and details on how you can start easily using GPT directly within your automation using these new connectors. So it's going to be exciting stuff. And so what's next? So we have a jam-packed agenda lined up, starting with our industry sessions. Those will be directly followed up by our product deep dive sessions. And then last on the agenda, and what I'm most excited to share, is our final session, called Building the Future of AI and Automation from the Lab to the Roadmap. And I mentioned this session a few times. This is where we're going to be providing additional information on the OpenAI connector, Clipboard AI, our product roadmap, and the winners of the AI Community Awards. We also have some surprises in store, so you won't want to miss this one. But if you do miss it, or any of the other sessions, remember that all of them will be available on demand. So with that, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the 2023 UiPath AI Summit. Have a great day.